Hello. Okay. It is I, the Z of Katie. I am here as Zitterbard Escher Bach. That means this is mine, my design, based on the Chinese medicine. I have been, how do I want to start? Whoop. Let's get some music playing. Let me get a little bit away from some things that I could be breaking. Epigenetics is what happens in populations and species when the expression of our genes change, but the genetic code itself does not. So this model for epigenetics is really like where all of the everything, oh hey BJ, this is where it all started. It started with me identifying the number 9 in the Bagua. And long before I had that grid, that Loshu grid, and I'm getting ready to make some more noise with science. So I've not spoken directly to this as an epigenetic model yet. So that's what I'm gonna do today. And just, you know, please be kind because I have not yet spoken directly to this. Except to say, I would like you to notice that the bottom here has 1, 2, 3, the middle has 7, 8, and the top has 4, 5, 6. So that's like super duper important. Now just to like orient your eyes to this chart here, that's called the Ni Jing 2. The Ni Jing 2 is most often used in acupuncture as a way for our doctors to invoke the Shen. These entities represent different aspects of our immune system in traditional acupuncture. TCM, I do not practice acupuncture, by the way. I just study the mechanics of China, like all things China, because it's always the same everywhere, and I love a pattern. So I guess in very many ways, this has been like my autistic special interest. I've been in Tao, contemplating Taoism, non-dual thought processes since I was 11, and I'm 55. So that would be a lifetime. What else do I want to share? COVID was an epigenetic event. It will impact every mammal in our class. Every mammal in our file. All mammal is a class. It's all vertebrates, pardon me, chordate. But anyway, let's not talk about evolution in the past, evolution in the future. As I have mentioned, this is the first time I'm speaking to this directly. So like, this is what I intuited. The fuck? I intuited epigenetics in Chinese medicine because I know the secret. I know the alchemy secret. I know we have a double fire element in a practical application of Chinese medicine, and nowhere else is a human presented with 2 fires outside of this environment specifically. This environment specifically gives us 2 fires. This only has 1 fire. Anything like the I Ching is not going to have the same double fire. So this double fire element, from a practical medicinal perspective, creates a pairing between the heart and the pericardium specifically, which is why I'm always advocating to tune into and attend to this child on the bridge. So the child on the star bridge exists in like suspended animation in this yin and yang, which I just think is so beautiful. This child on the star bridge exists in suspended animation in the medicinal medicine wheel from TCM, which is based on a pentagon of 5 pointed star. You tend to the child right now by smiling. All you need to do is smile. That's the practice. So if you see up here, see those are eyes, and you can kind of see a little, like a smile. And this inner smile is the first practice that we do in Neidan physically to get into this environment. Most of the, how shall I say, training I have in Neidan in this environment is fully by accident. So there's a concept in Taoist yoga called oblivion. I have been oblivious to practicing oblivion. It's like the most perfect cosmic joke. So I'm personally only ever oriented towards the field of power that I can experience, not necessarily the structure, the lines, the ties, and the anchors. And that has me much more contemplating the experience of the rig and not the rig itself. So anyway, these words here, Jing, Qi, and Shen, those are 3 archetypes of energy. Jing, Qi, and Shen is what Taoism is about. Yin and yang is it existing. From a practical perspective, like practitioner, yin and yang is like a thumbtack in the wall, it's a magnet, or it's just something existing. So we rely on the polarity of yin and yang to help navigate these energies, Jing, Qi, and Shen, earth, fire, and water. As it relates to these trigrams on the Bagua, the one closest to the center is Shen, Qi, Jing. So Taoism does not ever have like a one-to-one all the time. It might look like it's in an order, but it isn't. So Jing corresponds to the first ancestry, Qi to the second, Shen to the third. That's an order, 1, 2, 3. But look what is woven into this. What's woven in is not in numeric order. This is a primary reason why I won't do Feng Shui. There's so much I have to like measure north, okay? On the inside, this is quantum in nature. It's beyond measure. It's either subatomic or astral, and these folks didn't have the benefit of even an X-ray machine, right? They had sextants, abacus, and an awareness of scale. The Great Wall of China creates what's called the Belt Meridian, or this middle meridian. All of us has a belt. We all have an equator. The Great Wall of China creates that for China, the whole scale of China as alchemy. On the inside, this is our Belt Meridian, represented by the Silk Road. How cool is that? The Belt Meridian in the Bagua, as soon as there's a number, I don't know anything. So hold on one second, I have to find my mapping. Oh, I'm an asshole. I didn't give myself translations. Hold on. Oh, what a jerk. Okay, hold on. That's really funny. Hold on. Well, anyway, I guess it doesn't really matter, but the Belt Meridian, I know. Well, the Belt Meridian would be the 7th or 8th, the number 7 or 8. The Tao that can be named is not the Tao, okay? The Tao that can be measured makes me have to do math. I don't do math. I've created a framework of everything that fully accounts for the waveform collapse without doing math. That is how brilliantly parsed the intricacies and the complexities of this alchemy is. And I'm really smart to see it, but the alchemy has been my guide. So in our homes, the Bagua becomes where are we best positioned in our environment? Which faces north, and that's going to guide, you know, fire, and then they come in, and these spaces that have been feng shuied feel amazing. Oh, I'm so happy you're happy. This is my first time speaking to epigenetics in this model. So we're just kind of, this is new to you. I'm discussing epigenetics through the lens of Neidan, which is Taoist inner alchemy. I'm using the Bagua, which is a map of objects in the 3rd dimension, objects like in our space. I'm using the numbers of the Bagua to show you where they become extraordinary vessels that are how we inherit from our parents in vitro, both genetically and through maternal stress factors. And then this chart here is called the Ni Jing 2. That's okay. I'll be confused. I'm genuinely here primarily to make sure I can even speak to it. But we'll all just go, that I'm clear on my own model. I should be, just to make it, so let's just, so here, this is called the Ni Jing 2. It's called the inner warp or the inner landscape. This charts our fascia and the 8 extraordinary vessels. So one of the first things I did was, so the extraordinary vessels have, how shall I say? The number 8, I think we all know about as infinity, right? The number 8 is infinity. In Taoist alchemy, the way I'm positioning it, the number 8 is Einstein's theory of relativity, meaning anytime Katie gets to an 8, I get the fuck out of the way because something could go wrong. But what happens is, from a practical perspective, this Bagua is like a D20. It's like a D20 dice, if you work with any of that. And, but the low shoe grid that I stand in front of, the 3x3 grid, that's what happens when you add the 9th extraordinary vessel. The 9th extraordinary vessel is the secret of the golden flower. It's what you are shown when you experience. It's called alchemical pregnancy and birth. I did not want to experience it. I was just trying to survive having a fucking stroke and cancer, but I'm a good yoga of this, so I was well rewarded. And I think I had mentioned to somebody earlier, like, you can smile to activate your inner child, to tone your inner child. There's always 3 in Taoist alchemy. There's always 3. Yin and yang, like I said, that just gets you on the board. Then you have a 3rd factor, Shen. The smile, there's the smile we do, then there's a smile that we are shown. So I've always, for the last 30 years or so, just figured at some point I will find the 3rd smile or I won't. But there's a 3rd smile. Motherfucker, it is the vessels of the umbilical cord specifically. And the deity who I have positioned there, because I'm not a geneticist, I'm an information scientist, but the deity it corresponds with is Old Lady Ming Po. Old Lady Ming Po exists in the underworld as a singularity. If you're familiar with King Crimson's Court of the Crimson King, that's the guy she hangs out with. 21st century schizoid man. She governs sentience, not life, not even human, sentience. And her myth says that she serves this soup of forgetfulness so that souls forget suffering before they reincarnate on Earth. That is our Wharton's jelly. That's the jelly in our umbilical cord, stem cells. So numerically, the first 8 numbers, the first 8 dimensions, correspond to the 3 dimensions of one whole human. The 9th extraordinary vessel is the string of humanity, because I'm a sneaky bitch, because I know how these flippin' physicists are. The string of humanity is our umbilical cord. Okay, that's the string of a human. We do not exist human until we are on flatland, earthbound, out of the sack and breathing on our own in this model. Okay, whether or not you agree with it, I don't know. That's how this model works. It's just how the model works. So this bottom zone here, Jing, that's what is surrounding us. That's where we gestate. It's a fluid environment for an infant. There is a placenta, which is made of tissue. The placenta is protected and innervated by the 8 extraordinary vessels when we're gestating. How cool is that? These 8 extraordinary vessels also have a direct mapping, though to my awareness, I'm like one of a few people who has done this. These 8 extraordinary vessels have a direct mapping to the 8 immortals, who are the celestial entities, the cosmic factors of evolution of human. Which makes this very fascinating, because as it relates to like the 3rd dimension soft tissue factor of a human, I have found if we can keep it like symbolic and then internal to the organs, we bypass the 3rd dimension. We bypass this dimension. The 3rd dimension then becomes, what are we contemplating? What it means is it has to do with physics, and I am going to ask that you enjoy some proper confusion. Okay? Only because a woman teaching male alchemy, well, considering the fact that this was written for the men so they could experience having a uterus, yeah. Mm-hmm. Very much so. Good catch. Although I wouldn't necessarily call myself a woman. So these 8 vessels are the way, they're like the location of and the experience of psycho-emotional pain as we are in the world, okay? As dimensions, the way that physics defines dimension is that the first dimension is a string. The second dimension is a line. Third dimension is a cube. Fourth dimension is time and the shadow of others. And then at 5, we just get into this model, which I have extrapolated to 347 million dimensions. But we only need to like get to 10 or 11 to make the string theory folks happy. So this is the first 8 dimensions. The 9th dimension is the term that Taoism uses is Wu Wei, effortless action. Wu Wei. That is Lo Shu 9. Lo Shu 9 is Bagua Yin Yang. Katie's one of the like amazing, yes, I would call these discoveries, but it's not that any of this is hidden. It's just that I love looking for things. Let's not go there, Sunray. Don't want to say those words. Though I know where it would be if such a 0-point energy was even possible. My model fully accounts for Newtonian, quantum, and relativity without having to turn you and me into like New Age conspirituality, whatever people. But epigenetics, as a tool to contemplate epigenetics. Thank you for asking about the inner child. We're going to go back to that right now. The middle of yin and yang is Shen. So this inner child is the child on the star bridge. The star bridge is our Milky Way. He's fishing with the Big Dipper. The inside of this is aligned to stars called either the Summer Triangle or the Summer Constellation. Those are the stars Deneb, Altair, and Vega. Never thought I'd be an astrophysicist, but so Deneb operates from an astrophysics perspective. Deneb operates as Jing. And then the ox herd here is a personification of Altair. That is the bird. Okay, so this is also speaking to the cognitive science concept is laterality. Lateral. The cranial nerve that handles that is the abducens nerve, the 6th cranial nerve. Vega is personified here as the weaver. This is all standard Chinese art history cosmology. None of this is made up. I've just put it all together. That's not true, but I am being very transparent about what I made up because I added magenta so that you know if it's me. I'm just making more things visible. She's called the Weaver. Historically, she would be the wife of the Yellow Emperor. Yellow Emperor is, he is the earth element cosmically, cosmologically. And as his wife, she invented or discovered the process of silk weaving. Silkworms, by the way, have 11 brains. 11 ganglia, 11 brains. Do you see how she has that needle? She's sitting at a loom. She's sitting at a man-made device. And she's also holding both metal and water. So her silk goes into the central nervous system here. Her spear, her conducting wand, or her needle is the metal. It's like what do they do with the lightning thing? A lightning rod. All of Chinese medicine operates through metal and water. All of Western medicine operates through fire. Okay, for the most part. Nervous system regulation operates through fire, through thermodynamics. We are fluid. In our immune system, she would be like autoimmune. Okay, like my Weaver thinks that my thyroid is an issue. She's got a real problem. The inner child here is any child. So like I've been saying that I make art babies, right? I make art babies. My brother made a human baby. Inner child is the primary recipient of the compassion and virtues of this alchemy. it makes it very difficult to operate from malice. And from a cosmologic perspective, this inner child is asking us to ask some questions about like what's happening in our culture, what's happening with our resources, what's happening. And there's a lot happening right now with our culture and our resources, especially here in the United States. This alchemy exists to disrupt supremacy culturally. So from a cultural perspective, epigenetics is a factor of behavior, and meme is one way to contemplate it. That this very base down here is genetics, the middle is meme or memetics, and then the top is epigenetics. Memetics is not internet memes in this context. It should be. I'm hoping that we'll all like start doing this because it will help our experience of algorithm. But memes as a unit of culture. So there's an evolutionary biology guy named Richard Dawkins who wrote a book called The Selfish Gene. I think it was like in the 70s. I'm trying to have better lighting. My apartment only gets good lighting if the sun is out, and I live in Western Pennsylvania. So he wrote The Selfish Gene. Hijacked, manipulated, yes. This is an attempt to at least provide more landscape to contemplate so that there's more room to get away from some of everything. Yeah. Genetics. We cannot get away from our genetics. Okay, Jing is contemplated as finite. It is anytime you hear people discuss something, what is the thing? Spoon theory for chronic illness is based in Jing. Qi, this middle zone, that's like all the energy we have to just be in the world. What does it take to exist? And that's going to be different for everybody based on circumstance. TCM, because of how it separates quantum, immeasurable from qualitative and quantitative and everything, it makes distinctions, is very much asking questions about environment and ecosystems. And from a cultural perspective, on epigenetics, this epigenetic model is my model. For all this TCM, you could read any TCM textbook. Oh, on Jing, Qi, and Shen, go follow me, go download my stuff. There's a media library I put together. It doesn't speak to epigenetics at all. It speaks to how you can use this to make your organs feel better. How you can do it for your organs. So there's a 2-hour masterclass on fascia. There's a tour of this called the Ni Jing tour. There is a whole bunch of shapes you can explore. And then also you meet the Shen, you meet the spirits of all of your organs, your liver, kidneys, lungs, spleen, and the other one, heart. Yeah. You've learned epigenetics, just not in this context. This is epigenetics Zitter-Bardesher box style. Okay, this is Katie's model, but it's a really useful one because the I Ching is a way to contemplate our genetic code. I know people have been asking that question for a long time. It absolutely is. But you need to be able to position mitochondrial DNA and what happens with the U in mitochondrial DNA replacing the C in regular DNA. And guess where that happens? Extraordinary vessel 9. Old Lady Ming Po. the arbiter, the inhabitor of our stem cells, our Wharton's jelly. There might be another way to do it. She's obvious. I mean, it's seriously so much about pregnancy. So the extraordinary vessels they identify and point us towards everything that cannot ever be measured. Never be measured. Never. Possibly today because of the technology we have, but when this was put together 20,000 years ago, after the Stone Age, when the Chinese became agriculture, studying health in a spiritual context, that's wonderful. That's lovely. Connecting some of the things you've been, oh, that's awesome. So the epigenetics, because the 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6 are numerically where they are, 7, 8 is the inner child. That's this inner zone here. Yes, very much the mind. Oh, I'm glad you've been watching my YouTube. I'm hopefully going to get better at YouTube. So let's look at what the, absolutely this is Chinese. Yeah, I've been a scholar for about 40 years. So let me pull some notes up on the extraordinary vessels. My notes, I mean. Oh, look at that. I already wrote an ebook about it. Perhaps I'll have to publish that. The 8 extraordinary vessels, that is not my work. So I'm not going to use it. Ooh, assembly theory? Nope. Okay, awesome. The first vessel, I had to find it. This is the pre-heaven formula, yes. I've actually mapped the totality of the golden elixir. I had a golden elixir experience, Jason. Did not mean to. But the 9th extraordinary vessel is our friend Ming Po. Okay, the first vessel is called the Dumai vessel. Jason is obviously literate, is going to correct me if I'm inaccurate to the TCM, okay? Because I do this without any, this is fully non-invasive. But the governing vessel runs up the back line of our body. And it's the first vessel that we attune to internally in Neidan through a practice called the microcosmic orbit. That is, yes, of course, in all of my materials in that media library. But just to give you a visualization, the microcosmic orbit goes up the back and then down the front. Up the back. This is reversing the flow of water. Water flows in reverse is the guidance in the chart itself. The governing vessel speaks to governance. Governance. So if you want a book to check out, the Tao Te Ching, which is the main philosophy text of all of this. Let me get you. Let me grab one of my copies. The Tao Te Ching. This is the translation I rely on. This is Penguin Classic. He's a Chinese scholar and Chinese native and blah, 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 all the things. The Tao Te Ching has like 88 poems or 87 something poems, but it comes in 2 sections. The first section is about man's relationship to nature, which is this second vessel we'll get into. But the second half of it is about governance, leadership. And the leadership is not like the shit that we're being confronted with today. I've mentioned in the past, I'll say it again, Taoism began in response to fascism in China, specifically in response to high control governing. And it was by the women. So as the governing vessel, in the Tao Te Ching, you might read something, people are hungry. It's because those in authority eat up too much in taxes that the people are hungry. The people are difficult to govern. It's because those in authority are too fond of action that the people are difficult to govern. People treat death lightly. It's because the people set too much store by life that they treat death lightly. It's just because one has no use for life that one is the wiser than the man who values life. These are all this is one of the most advanced texts, by the way, in the canons. I personally think it's very confusing. But the governing vessel, that corresponds to the water element in our body. And in this chart, it's visualized here as your upper lip. Then we have the conception vessel at number 2. The conception vessel is the seat or the site or the location of our body's yin energy. So it's the primary channel for yang and yin. Governing is yang, conception is yin. Papa, mama. Makes sense. The conception vessel is visualized here, okay, through the jaw, making our lips, when we bring our lips together, and you bring your tongue to that point here behind your teeth, that resets this circuit, this microcosmic orbit that's like the main orbit of Qi when we're gestating. And it's one of the first ways practitioners in Neidan, we start connecting to the idea of negentropy from physics. So negentropy in physics is what happens when chaotic systems or massive systems become more complex rather than more entropic or more chaotic. It is a somatic practice of complexity. And all you have to do is smile and imagine that you're going up the back and down the front. That's all you have to do. So the conception vessel is where we get these ideas like the Tao that can be named is not the Tao, if you've ever heard that quote. And there's a quote from the there's a little story that Richard Lau put in the beginning of this that it's very logical, but it's not rational. The Tao is the way followed by the inanimate universe as well as by man. As a result, in reading Lao Tzu, one sometimes gets the feeling that the line's blurred between Tao as an entity and Tao as an abstract principle. This is a scholar speaking, not me. So the high presses it down, the low lifts it up, the excessive takes form, the deficient it gives to. And so, you know the whole that song, what goes up must come down, spinning wheel, round and round. It's that. It's just that the shit's gonna continue to happen whether or not we're here for it. Okay? But the primary contemplation, like the location of all of this, is planet Earth. Planet Earth, not doctor's office. Planet Earth. So Soma, at least in my model, the way I'm defining the bottle in my model is based in political science. It's based in the work of Stacey Haynes. She published last year or the year before a book called The Politics of Trauma, which is wonderful. You should read it if you want to. But the way she defines a body is body and planet. And I was like, that is an excellent way to define the body. Soma, Soma. That's how we define the body here. So what this means is if you and I exist, that alone, that's all you need. There's no need to give validation, proof, or evidence that you deserve to experience less suffering in this model. We are guided to disclose openly and to like open doors. Okay, that's the ethos of the teaching, is to make it available, not to create obstacles. I know that I'm speaking jargon today because this is like so whatever, but truly, you're not supposed to have to prove that you're wounded enough to be healed, nor should you have to sit in shit, the shit of your own shame, in order to heal. No. Okay? Just no. So that was the second vessel. So you see the first vessel here has all solid lines. That's yang. This second vessel here has all open lines. That's yin. Yang, yin. The third vessel is the penetrating vessel. Okay, the penetrating vessel. Do you see how it has open, closed, open? Imagine you're sewing something. You put the needle down and you pull it out. Third vessel, penetrating, right? Because she's weaving. This is about weaving. Penetrating vessel also very much because you got to shtup to have the babies. No, the body doesn't keep the score. The body is the score. Bessel van der Kolk is a cop. And he's a really bad scientist. In somatics, the number 3 is the third dimension, literally. All psychiatrists are cops. Psychiatry goes to the court system, not to hospitals, at least here in the US. But we're talking about the penetration vessel. The penetration vessel is the thing that gives us the ability to measure something in dimensional space, length, width, height, not weight, length, width, height. What is the volume of it? What about iron shirt qigong? I'm talking about epigenetics. If you're just here to be a dick, you can go home. I have no need to be challenged by stupid little men. Okay, because you know I was a man. Little one. Penetrating vessel, sea of blood. Sea of blood. This is speaking to our lineage. It's speaking to our blood relations. Do you see how like the 1, the 2, the 3, and the 4 go like that? Like they're not, and then the 5, 6, 7, 8 go around in a circle. So even the Bagua has a weaving as in a Mobius factor. Something is twisted. And it's not twisted to obscure, it's twisted to ensure. Okay? None of this is twisted to obscure, it's all twisted to ensure. And what it's ensuring is us continuing as a species. We are currently failing planetarily at this. as you can see, it has influenced my experience of sleep recently. Let's try to fix some of this, okay? The fourth vessel, so you can see how the third is open, open, and the fourth is closed, open, closed. If we were to fold those on top of each other, you'd have again yin and yang though. You would still be able to have 3 closed, 3 open. The fourth vessel as the belt vessel corresponds to the belly button, the zone of our belly button, which I actually have a model. Where is it? Hold on. Oh, perfect, it's right here. So the belt vessel is this vessel. Okay, and I made it yellow so you can really notice it and associate it with this word Jing and the earth element. So the earth of a human is our butt, baby, okay? It's not our feet. Our feet are handled with this yin and yang here as humans, not as abstractions. As humans, that's an XXXY entity. In our body as fascia, it's our plantar fascia specifically. The fact that we are bipedal great apes. So this, theoretically, thank you, could be used for, Jason, you don't speak as much of this as I do. So sit back and listen. Genuinely. The kidneys are not present in this diagram. The gate of life is. So, here we have Jing. Jason's not inaccurate. Jason just doesn't understand how to read charts. So Jing corresponds in our brain, like if you go to an MRI and get your brain scanned, Jing corresponds to the transverse plane of our brain, the transverse axis of a human. Transverse is the factor that lets us, like the transitive verb, okay? It gives us mobility, not just movement. Belt Meridian. In this chart, that corresponds to where the weaver is situated. And we are guided alchemically to the earth at this palace, the earth at the central palace. I'm blocking you, Jason. Go fucking look at some of my shit. I'm very happy to send you 300, 400 pages of parsing this out into physics. But you don't speak Neidan. You have not experienced the golden elixir. You have not identified the 9th extraordinary vessel, and you haven't been able to turn anything that you know. No, earth is the spleen, not the stomach. You don't know your 5 phases. There's no color in this. Jason is very upset. Thank you, Blue. I will ignore him. So Jing corresponds to the earth fucking element. Goodbye, Jason. You are blocked. Okay. There's nothing to believe. It's just be appropriate in your pushback. I am like totally all for it. But I think I sound like I know what the fuck I'm talking about. There were only 2 followers. That was a brand new account too. That was probably it's people that I'm blocking. I don't mind having a debate, by the way. I really don't. I am also positioning this as my model. Okay, so it's better to ask me about the model than to try to get me on a like a detail, because the details are so handled. They're so handled. Jing is earth. So when we talk about soma being human and planet, earth. Okay, do you see how Jing is 1, 2, 3? When Taoism is written as like poetry, we read things like, from the Tao or from nothing became one. One gave birth to two. Two gave birth to three. Three gave birth to the myriad things, or the 10,000 things, or the whatever things. But only ever in some of these texts is a progression given, and it only goes to 3. This speaks to Fibonacci. This very much speaks to having to position Earth in the alchemy. So from the 4 cardinal directions, the 4 cardinal directions map to fire, water, metal, and wood. Earth only happens when you put it on a map. It's the center. Depending on the direction of alchemy, we're going to position Earth in your body as your spleen, or in your environment as the ground. And then internally, we're told that our success in the system occurs at this Earth, not at this Earth. The Earth of the central palace within the chi. Oh, I love you back. Thank you for following. Chi, 7 and 8, the 7 and 8th extraordinary vessel. So again, the extraordinary vessels are our inheritance. They protect us when we're in vitro. Soon you will meet the immortals that they correspond with. But, oh my gosh, I did not. Are you fucking kidding me? I only gave myself 6 vessels. Hold on 1 second. That's hilarious. One moment. Oh, sometimes I don't check my own work. The 7th and 8th vessels are linking vessels from our heels to our head, but they have other names. So, okay, hold on 1 second. You work with Father daily. So, you have 369 in your profile. While I'm waiting for the chat to tell me what the fucking last 2 are based on my work. Deneb, Altair, and Vega. So 3 is Deneb, 6 is Altair, 9 is Vega. It maps 100% to the summer constellation. Okay, no, the last 2. All right, let me get a textbook. I just don't like going into 700-page documents to find one thing. Where is it? Here we go. So this is a book you can read if you want to learn more about the 8 extraordinary vessels. It is a medical textbook. The 7th extraordinary vessel, as I mentioned, these are linking. So what they do is they link the yin and the yang helically, vertically in the body. They create the DNA in our blah, blah. This is called the Ni Jing 2. Oh, okay, that's all it is. So the 7th vessel has to do with, is yin? Yin are even numbers, yang are odd numbers. So the 7th vessel has to do with integrating yang. 8th vessel has to do with integrating yin. And as I mentioned, they go from your ankles to your skull. I think it has to do with our the membranes in our brain, an exposition of the 8 extraordinary vessels. Plan on pay, it's probably about $80 maybe. This is what your acupuncturist is using. And it's going to give you discourse on wind. Wind key precedes the wind house and ascends, which then becomes brain wind. You may also enter the link to the head, which then becomes the eye wind and the eye cold. That's how these folks are trained. Genuine question. What does any of this mean? This is about, we're looking at epigenetics, which is what happens when the expressions of our genes change, but the genes don't. And the way that Chinese medicine contemplates it through inheritance. So this is the Bagua, this is what your feng shui person uses to position your furniture. When I interpret it through these extraordinary vessels that we are our inheritance, we're able to look at this chart as though it's a way to look at evolution and epigenetics and genetics. So this is genetics at the base, epigenetics at the head. Yeah, I just put a massive framework together fortnight. I started contemplating epigenetics. I haven't looked at some of this stuff in a couple of years. So, but I wanted to speak to it directly. We're in an epigenetic event right now. We have been since 2020, planetarily, not globally, planetarily, like as a celestial object in the universe. COVID epigenetically, not from a like life and death, epigenetically, COVID was our species being hit by a massive meteor from the sky. The way that it disrupted everything. Enough of our population globally could not smell or taste at the same time, and for enough time that the orientation of our sensory motor cortex as a species shifted. It's not good or bad, but as a species, it shifted. When COVID first hit, there was some research into sea mammals in particular. There were questions as to whether orcas, dolphins and whales were being influenced. I would say yes. I would say that's actually probably why we're seeing the change in the behavior of orcas. In particular, we should be looking at pilot whales, but that's a zoology conversation, not a genetics conversation, although we are animals. So, this Shen, in our world, the Shen is everything having to do with the spirit or the animating factor or the affect of a thing. So if Tion measures something, Shen describes it. Alchemically, all of these entities operate as Shen. Shen are superposition from a physics perspective. That guy who I blocked who was talking about the pre-heaven setting was speaking, so the pre-heaven means you don't exist yet. As heaven is also, I should say, positioned in our body at the head, earth is at the base, humanity is in the middle. So earth, human, heaven, all nicely enclosed in one fertile female here. This right there, a single grain of millet. In a single grain of millet, an entire lifetime. That shows up 3 ways: food, sperm, pathogen. pathogen is the reason I think we have 2 fire elements in Chinese medicine instead of 1, which is why I would very much caution you against trying to do your own acupuncture. Okay. What else do we want to talk about? Let me tell you about Old Lady Ming Po. No. What do I want to tell you about? 7-8. Adaptability, integrating. I'm just looking at what I have because it's mostly a different thing. Wait, hold on. The Bagua, okay. There is a word in geometry called an octahedron. I thought octahedron was platonic solid for human. Because I just said about inventing a universe. It's a weird thing to do, but an octahedron is 2 pyramids. It's pyramid on top and on the bottom of each other. These aren't the same size, but pretend like they are and it makes perfect sense, okay? This middle zone here, that's the Belt Meridian. That is the middle line in all of this. So again, the bottom corresponds to here, the middle corresponds to this, the top at the head, and then when it becomes the I Ching, you put them on top of each other. It's very exciting. It's like cosmic origami. But what the octahedron gives us, what this gives us, is a way to contemplate a human as 2 sets of quadrants delineated at the navel, not at the base. It creates a dimensional way of contemplating a person, meaning if we're contemplating quadrants front and back, top and bottom, I need to look at you as though you actually exist in 360 degrees. Western medicine only looks at us 1 face at a time. So the way Western medicine contemplates the body is through the planes that doctors cut into when they're doing surgery. The way Chinese medicine contemplates the body is through the axes of the body. The axes, this yellow line here, this corresponds to Shen, this blue line corresponds to Shen and the water element, consciousness, or spine. The magenta corresponds to Qi or Qi. Evolution perspective would be, this is us on 4 legs. She doesn't move very well, but we used to walk on 4 feet, you know? So it used to be head to tail, top to bottom, not head to tail, top to bottom. So when we bring these 3 lines into how we're looking at a person or contemplating a person, if you're a provider, it forces you to get them off the fucking table. This is a really super duper important thing as we're contemplating something like existence, because if we're only being looked at as though people are ready to cut into us, that makes our doctors they're always looking at us, they have to flip the sides in order to do their jobs correctly, okay? But that means they're not looking at us with their mirror neurons, they're looking at us with their mind neurons, with their thinking cap. And I think this factors into our experience of empathy at the doctor. It certainly factors into our experience of being told our lived experience is bullshit at the doctor. And our culture right now gives primacy to the Shen. Shen maps to psychiatry. From a rhetoric perspective, Shen is ethos, not pathos. Western medicine is fully based in pathology and not virtue. It's a cultural thing, but we're now starting to have some species level shifts in how we contemplate things. One way that we do that is just how we contemplate life, because of the presence of intubation and life support, and very much because it is assumed, and it was first the most successful during the Vietnam War. We get our understanding of PTSD from those veterans. They were the first humans we subjected to life support on the battlefield. The man who invented that technology, Dr. Peter Safar, also had to invent the modern emergency department. That also runs as though war. Okay? Not good or bad, but our doctors are attuned to, I can always bring you back from the dead. Just bring you on back from the dead. Trauma, war trauma, pathos, big money. So part of what I'm hoping can happen with bringing this framework forward is that there are going to be places and pockets and ideas and spaces where we can start to have a larger field to our mind. It's just about increasing the space. If we increase the space, we increase our awareness. High control situations where we're being guided into terror and panic, create a very narrow field, right? Especially, I mean, like, my goodness, the experience of hypervigilance. So this is about looking for cultivating space inside. For the numbers, the number 1 corresponds to helpful people. The number 2 corresponds to, I have to like look it up. 2 corresponds to relationships. 3 corresponds to, what is that? Broken, solid, broken. 3 corresponds to career, water, and it's called Kan, K-A-N. This Kan here is this structure here at the base of the Ni Jing too. So this 3rd dimension is identified and labeled at the base as a water wheel. And the teachings are that water flows in reverse, right? That it goes up against gravity. That is speaking to your central nervous system operating. So that little down there, Kan, water flows in reverse, it goes up. This is called the Upper Valley Spring. Do you see how that's like a stream there? Do you see that little structure? That corresponds to our fontanelle. When we're born, we have a little bit of a space in our skull. This is one of the reasons babies' heads are so big, because you're born with your brain. But if your skull was like solid, and also like the pregnant person, the pelvis of a XX entity has this ability to separate a bit at the pubic bone so you don't get fractured pelvises during delivery. It's really amazing how we've like adapted or grown as a species. So this water flowing in reverse. Then solid, broken, wealth, wood, solid, earth. Who put this together? Wood. The Bagua I'm looking at right now is like horrendous. I have to make a different one. I wrote a whole book. It's like 400 pages of. You can't really see it, but there's a lot of. It's cool. I think I'm going to start a Patreon and start publishing parts of this while I'm editing the whole book, so that I can teach you without you having to wait for me to finish editing a textbook. I haven't written a textbook in a long time. I personally contemplate these vessels, and very specifically this shape, as gravity. So, and that is because I do not want to be responsible for anybody's genetics. We'll just give it to Einstein. Just give it to Einstein. Oh, good. Here we go. Now, let me find the 8 immortals, though, because the immortals correspond to this as well. Oh, I don't have that. Hold on. I have found so much I need to put into this. I'm glad you would like to read it. Yes, yes. All right, terrestrial killers, immortals. No, that's not it. I'm looking for my notes on the 8 immortals. Oh, you know what? I must have it in a spreadsheet. How do I search? All right. Let me see. Let me find a book. When in doubt, get a resource. Okay. I'm really happy that I have identified that I need to do my section on the 8 immortals. I just grabbed this. This is a book I would recommend if you want to learn the Bagua from like a social perspective. It's called a Taoist Guide to Practical Living. Ava Wong. It would be worth the investment if you're fascinated by this. It all reads like fables. So there's like the value of emptiness, shadows, sounds, and ghosts, life and death, the truth about happiness and misery, strange illnesses, the questions of a child. Oh, this is one of my favorite. 2 kids are fighting over when the sun is the warmest, and they ask Confucius, the great sage. He's like, I don't know. And they're like, how come you don't know? But this is in 8 sections, and each section corresponds, to one of these parts of the Bagua. Epigenetics. Looking at how we're doing culture. And the guiding virtues are compassion, moderation, and humility. As it relates to health, compassion, moderation, humility. Taoist Guide to Practical Living, Ava Wong. There is a publishing house called the Golden Elixir Press, which I have so many of their books. Where are my books of theirs? Golden Elixir Press is Fabrizio Prodagio, who is German. He is the world's leading scholar in Neidan as far as like translating texts and stuff. I just sent him some fan mail. Let me find you one of his books. This is a nice one to give you a... Oh, Mama Panda, I would very much love to have a conversation with you about this. Truly. Taoist and Alchemy, an anthology of Neidan. This speaks to the yoga that informs all of this chart. This yoga predates acupuncture. This is everything that became invasive Chinese medicine. And so these texts, these alchemical texts, you read things like, oh, here we go. The three powers. Jing, Qi, and Shen. The three powers are thieves to one another and eat at the right time. This is the mechanism of Tao and the virtue for divine immortality, speaking of epigenetics. When the 10,000 transformations are at rest, all thoughts come to an end. The 100 bones are regulated, and each of them manifests non-doing. So the concept is oblivion. And then the other side of that is annihilation. Neither of those sound good, do they? But that's okay. Annihilation is synthesis, right? Annihilation is, that book, actually the movie Annihilation is a fantastic visualization of that. Annihilation is when we fuck up. Oblivion is we just continue forever. So the whole purpose of all of this is to continue as a species, not to be the best at the thing. And biologically, that creates this eighth. Well, actually, the eighth is beyond there. That creates this as kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. So this is a full taxonomy for nomenclature in biology. How did they know? How did these ladies know 20,000 years ago? It's incredible. This water here is because we're guided to this earth here and not this earth here. The water here evolutionarily also speaks to us as being related to sea creatures, right? Because our species started in the oceans. So there were a couple of major events in the evolution of all things that turned into us. The first one was bones. That occurs here at the phylum chordate. Thank you. This is the 12-storied pagoda. So this gets us into the 12 cranial nerves, as well as the 12 signs of the zodiac, as well as what's different now that we don't have gills. This is your dorsal fin. This would be our dorsal fin if we were still whales, like all the polyvagal theory people want us to be, and we're not. So the dowager's hump is us succumbing to gravity because we don't have the buoyancy of the ocean anymore. But we carry ocean in us, in our spine. The ancients were brilliant. Our spinal fluid is saline. It's closer to salt water than it is. It's almost the same salinity as the ocean. That makes it dense. Saline. The saline, so we have a network there. Oh my God, let me turn this into your brain. This is so much fun. This is like my favorite kind of neuroscience. So there are 3 neural networks in our brain. Fucking polyvagal theory, okay? If you're only given the option of being regulated or not, that's a pass-fail. That is not existing. That's passing a test. But Shen maps to water, Qi to fire, Jing to earth as elements. The salience network in our brain and our sensory motor cortex, when we take information in through our eyes and our ears, it goes in. I'm so glad that you like this. It goes in on the other side, opposite sides, and then on the back of our retina, it shows up inverted and like contorted because our retina is concave, pulls things back and turns them upside down. So things come in opposite, upside down and backwards, and then the brain reorients it so it's as though you're reading it easily. Then this salience network is deciding based on what information we're receiving through our sensory motor experience. We'll speak to trauma in a moment. Salience network determines whether or not that input ends up in our default mode network or our central executive network. If you've ever heard of executive functioning, that occurs through the central executive. Not top of the head, central executive. The default mode network, oh, that's awesome. The default mode network is the robotics factor of our body. The default mode network is what we're guided into with that idea of like rest and digest and safety and security. Only it's something inherent, it's innate in us. Everything is an illusion. It depends on if you're trying to understand absolute truth, right? Everything is a perception. I don't know the answer. But the whole concept of executive functioning is a factor of our salience network, not our executive functioning. And I just remind you, enough of our species did not have a working salience network for about 2 years in 2020. That our entire sensory motor orientation shifted. Not good or bad, but it shifted. Salience, our salience network is the neural network in the brain that determines how our body operates based on sensory input. So we get sensory input into our brain through our eyes, ears, everything. Salience network goes, this goes to the default mode, this goes to the central executive. It's like a dealer, a card dealer. Salience network is what's impacted with brain fog. I don't know because I can't understand for you. I'm not contemplating 5Gs. I'm contemplating what I can actually really understand. 5G doesn't seem to be based in much. This is very fascinating to me. Yeah. Let me see. I think I might be getting time for a little sneaky snack. Salience. Let me get you a little, let's get here we go. This, oh, and I can also tell you how the universe started now. Okay. This is the structure in our brain that distributes our cerebral spinal fluid. It is what you might think of as the Eye of Ra, if you've ever seen how Egypt turns into. Yeah, it's straight up just brain science. Salience network. Salience network corresponds to the sagittal axis of the plane of our brain. The central executive is coronal and default mode is transverse. Corresponds. Doesn't exist on, but that's what it corresponds to. So this structure, let's just like pretend like it's like perfectly situated here. Okay. So this structure, this goes into our brain stem, and it's largely empty, and over top of it is what our corpus callosum sits. Our corpus callosum sits on top. Corpus callosum handles all the right left of our brain. Once a day, this releases and retrieves a volume of fluid into and through our spine. I don't know. It's this system uses metal where other systems use ether. And if this had ether, none of it would work. So I'm not sure that this is all the same across cultures. Once a day, what's the trigger? The trigger is existing. I don't know what the timing is. I haven't even bothered to look at that, but I can assure you that it is happening. Metal replaces ether. This visualizes the totality of the metal element alchemically. Alchemically, the metal element is aligned with water, and the wood element is aligned with earth. Fire is like, it's just all in and out. So Qi is fire, and Jing is earth. Oh, hold on one sec. Oh my gosh, somebody just told me about a conference in Madrid that I don't have the money, but all my new heroes of consciousness are going to be there. The way the universe started, according to the alchemy as I've been initiated into it, is through Schrodinger's equation, through small, gentle, almost imperceptible vibrations through strings. So rather than a big bang, we get this. And then it shows up. And then we have our full integrated universe. But it began through vibration, not through explosion. My cat's about to have a meltdown. Hi, Norman. How are you? How's it going? Come here. Come here. Can you hear that? Buddy. Oh, Norman loves sound healing stuff. I do too. Yep. Vibration, frequencies. The alchemy works through oscillations, or at least like the inner alchemy from human to oneself is more oscillatory in vibrations than it is like external alchemy called Neidan is you go up to the mountain and gather your things and put them in a pot and like actually do lead into gold. Inner alchemy is lead into gold through Neidan, through the quantum realm. I did not know that. Okay, I just had to turn my mother into my stroke. So this is all based on my lived experience of having a stroke and surviving aggressive cancer treatment unattended at the height of the pandemic. And it is me bringing forward the logic that I used. And then I just decided to game all of TCM because I realized it's all the same. It's amazing. Neuroaffective somatics. Ooh, do you want to talk about plasma? The fourth state of matter? Solid, liquid, gas, plasma? I have not looked at mitosis yet, though this is 100% the mitochondria. 100% the mitochondria. My full genetic mapping of this, oh, now I have to look at what mitosis and meiosis are. Dang it, I forget. Mitosis, a type of cell division that results in daughter cells. So, so the string of humanity, Mama Panda, the string of humanity is the umbilical cord. The singularity of human is the fertilized zygote before it splits the first time. We do not have a human without those two things being true: fertilization and existence. In many ways, this like bypasses, there's no room to have a fucking heartbeat bill here. This assumes abortion. This assumes purposeful intent with creating more need in the community, which is what having a child is. Does it matter which ovary? No, not that I'm aware of. Not that I'm aware of. The other thing that I love about TCM is like I'm missing a breast, I'm missing 21 lymph nodes. I had all, bleh, okay? My energy body though, energy body is set up whole. So a lot of what the alchemy and the acupuncture is doing is creating synaptic pathways around stuff that doesn't exist, or in a way to help it move. It's very much, these folks are engineers. It's amazing to me now that now that I'm reading like how you would do a thing. Oh my goodness me, the ordering of what you put the needles in matters. Not just where you put it, in what order. Oh, yay. It's pretty incredible. Yeah. Oh, yes, I'm so sorry, Norman. Would you like some? Do you want to meet the people? Come meet the humans on the internet. Come here, buddy. Norman is my walking weighted blanket. Can I come get you? Hi. Darla doesn't like me to pick her up. Norman will put up with it, but he doesn't really like it. This is Norman. His full name is Norman Rockefeller Shostakov Zitterbart the Great. He has a Tommy, and he's a handsome man, and he loves tuning fork therapy. He also will like make love to my metal bowls. Okay, fine. Plasma, the fourth state of matter. Yes, this is called the Ni Jing 2. This is a medicinal chart that your acupuncturist uses to navigate a system of wormholes called the 8 extraordinary vessels, which I've mapped onto the Bagua. This is what Feng Shui uses to place furniture. I'm just doing it without the furniture. So these 8 vessels, this is the order that they go in, are visualized as a whole landscape on the inside. Here are 6 of them. The first 2 vessels are lips existing. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And the names for the 3 zones, the energy that governs these 3 zones are called Shen at the head, Qi at the heart, Jing at the base. From this number wheel, these numbers correspond in this way to these zones. So 4, 5, 6 goes at the top, 7, 8 goes in the middle, 1, 2, 3 goes at the base. From a color perspective, I didn't put color in this. All Zitterbard Escher Bach is the symbology, the symbolism. It's all black and white. The colors though, Jing is yellow, the way that I'm visualizing it. Qi is magenta, and Shen is blue. What this has to do with epigenetics is the extraordinary vessels are the conduit through which we receive genetic inheritance from our DNA providers, and they sustain the homeostatic environment in the placenta. So anything that happens like from a maternal stress perspective would be mitigated to, through, and by the 8 extraordinary vessels. So our meridians, like this whole charting of our meridians, this doesn't exist until you and I are out of the womb and we have a belly button. Until then, it's extraordinary. We also have extraordinary organs, and the main extraordinary organ is the brain. Second one is the, you're very happy, uterus, our bones, our vessels, our bone marrow, and the gallbladder. Extraordinary organs are neither yin or yang. So organs can be yin or yang, that black and the whiteness, and then they're paired. So our lungs are paired with the large intestine. Heart is paired with the small intestine. Spleen is paired with the stomach. Liver is paired with the gallbladder. The first organ that I named is the yin organ. Yin organs are full all the time. So we're tuning to the fullness, to the weight, to the density of yin internally. Yang organs empty and fill, like your stomach, right? Heart is better have blood in it, better be beaten at all times. But the intestine are doing the digestion and elimination of waste. So the alchemy centers the yin organs, and it uses Shen as they're like the agents of amazing. The Shen are the spirit that animate us, spirits that animate our soul, and spirits that animate sentience. So Shen is a thing, it's an energy, it's a category. It is a very much, it's a linguistic tool that the alchemy uses to get away from having to label or number things. Because the only law, the singular law, the only law, is that the Tao that can be named is not the Tao. So what that means is, as soon as I label or measure something, it is no longer it. That is very much what physics labels the waveform collapse when systems are observed. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I was a subject matter expert, and then I had a stroke, Alicia, and then I had cancer, and I had to put all of this to use, and it worked, and so now I'm teaching it back out. Neidan, this inner alchemy is the most, I'm always in the most esoteric. Can I tell you? Like, the more esoteric, the better. I'm so abstract. But the cool thing about this alchemy is it ends up back in your organs. So it ends up in your liver, your stomach, your gallbladder, because that's the practical aspect of it. So we get to connect through these cosmic ideas. Look at that. Inner child with the whole fucking Big Dipper. Right there, right in our heart. Identified. The easiest to perceive in the whole thing is a child. Yeah. So there is a media library I put together. I'm calling it a crash course. It is a 2-hour masterclass on fascia. There's a whole way of, I take you into this. I think it's like a half hour or so, a tour of this. Introduces all of the primary self-regulation organ toning practices with guided practices and handbooks and flashcards that you can use. 90-minute sound bath. I think it's like 6 different modules. It's only $30. Truly, if you have $30 and this is at all interesting to you, that would be a really wonderful thing to do for yourself and for me. You're not going to see this information together because of how the martial arts separate invasion and anything that cuts the skin. So what I did is I've just been practicing Chinese medicine non-invasively. Yes, there's a link in my bio. I'm also today, as of today, I've realized it's time for me to start a Patreon so that I can, it's up to like 400 pages. I still have some things I need to add that takes this through genetics, epigenetics, memetics, string theory, which is multidimensionality, the theory of relativity, practical, like how do you do a Bagua, how do you do this, how do you do that. Oh, here's the other one. Hi, Darla. Darla does not like me to lift her, but we're doing it anyway. She's my mama. Look at her, she's so pretty. You're an earth snake? We're coming into the wood snake year. It's gonna be the wood snake. Can I tell you, Alicia? Okay, first of all, of course I'm allergic to them. She sleeps in my face, obviously. But, oh, you're an earth dragon. You are the Yellow Emperor. That's like super fucking powerful, man. I'm a cock. I was born in 1969. And I'm a kinky motherfucker, so it works really well. But I would rather be a dragon. So what I did is I took those 5 elements from Chinese medicine, and the way that an acupuncturist would use them, and I extrapolated them into these more abstract, artistic, and contemplative realms so that we can have these great ideas and not continue to like do shit. Yeah, tell me your birthday and I'll tell you your thing. I did publish this on my Substack not long ago. Tell me your birthday, Sarah. 10/2/94. Hold on. I'm not smart enough to do it without help. You are a dog. I knew it, you're a wood dog. Wood is like so fucking important. Wood is the whole thing about growth, all cellular growth. I love you back. 11/2/94. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Wood dog. The wood that you have is yang. 1/11/1989. Man, I was in college when you were born. 2/21/1999. Wood dog. These are, first of all, how cool is it that the zodiac are actual animals? That's cool. The difference between the elements is very much like the difference between the elements in the periodic table of elements. 1/11/89, you are a Earth dragon. What? 11/2/94. What was the other one? Somebody else had one though. 2/21/99. I like doing a different kind of divination with your birthday. It's called Loshu. Hold on one sec. You guys are going faster. Wood dog is, they're loyal. They're about growth. They'd be like, a wood dog would be like a working dog on a farm. Okay, February 21/99. Earth rabbit. Little bunny foo-foo. Hopping through the forest, scooping up the field mice, bopping them on the head. Hi, sweet love. Okay. Just give me, hold on. Okay, hold on. So 4/16, excuse me, Miss Love. Oh, 29/06. 8/21/73, 1/8/87, and 7/9/05. 1 second, honey. I know. Okay, I'll be right back. She needs something. Do you want some water? Do you want to go sit in your bathtubs? Come, let's go to the bathtubs. Come, come. Come, come, darling. Come here. I'll be right back. I have to get a little girl's room. Might as well, since she wants to be in bath and tub. Here. Just grabbing some water. And a little snack. Crusty bread with butter. Okay. Let me get you your results. January 11, 99, Earth Dragon. February 21. Oh, here we go. 11/29/06, Fire Dog. 8/21/73, Water Ox. We can go through these. 1/8/97, Fire Tiger. 7/9/25, Wood Rooster. Wood Rooster. Ugh. What is my day job? Finding money right now. This, I'm soon going back to OnlyFans. Or I need to find a physicist to work with. I love it too. This is a Apple playlist. It's the spa list. Fire Rat. Nice. How you doing, baby girl? All of the animals in the Chinese zodiac are real animals, except for the dragon. The dragon corresponds to, I think, whatever the parental factor is. But when all of this started to happen culturally in China, the Durga constellation, that's the dragon constellation. One of those stars was the apparent North Star. Did they know? Did they call it also the dragon? I don't know. I'm not Chinese and I wasn't alive 20,000 years ago. Fire Rat. Two Earth Dragons in the house. But I do like that it's all, like all the animals are earthly, and I really love that each one shows up 5 ways: earth, metal, fire, water, wood. I have a oracle deck of that. Let me see where it is. I'm very good at making messes and then cleaning them up, but always in different ways. Here we go. I live modularly. So here's like Earth Horse. Isn't this pretty? I want to apologize for the quality of my camera too. I took TikTok off my phone when it was banned, like a dummy. And so now I'm on my iPad. Here's Wood Sheep, Nature, your healer. The woman who did this is Chinese. So there's 60 possible ways that you and I could receive our heavenly stem or earthly branch. 60. The word for it is sexagenary, the sexagenary cycle. Water horse. Look at that with the dolphins in the back. This is one of my favorites. Earth tiger. Crouching tiger, hidden dragon was about the white tigress who's like the ruler of Jing, the ruler of male sexual energy, and the dragon is the peen. And historically, the women would like tame the dragons. Isn't that cool? And you're supposed to have a good time too. How long did it take? My whole lifetime. My whole lifetime, baby. I've been in this realm for about 40 years. Earth pig, look at that. Look at this, it's in a little basket of earth. Oh, that's so sweet. Oh, isn't it? Like, I know what a pig is. I don't know what I'm a Gemini. Whatever, Pisces, okay. But I know what a pig is. Look at the metal pig. Partnership and collaboration. Water rat. Focus on your vision. Look, there's those damn dolphins again. Makes the rat kind of look like a seal, doesn't it? Darla, please do not do that. Darla, don't put that down. No. That's not what we do. Yeah, we don't pull that off the ceilings. Oh. I do think, though, sexy beast, when I had my stroke in 2019, sometimes people come out of those with new talents. I do seem to have experienced some like upgrade in certain understandings through my stroke. Well, specifically through rebuilding my sensory motor cortex. And then I just mapped it all onto Chinese medicine. Because it's more fun. Much more fun. These 8 numbers also correspond to the first 8 nerves in our head. 8 cranial nerves. The Lo Shu grid corresponds to 9, but this 12-storied pagoda, that's all 12 cranial nerves, from the olfactory all the way down to the hypoglossal. So from the front of the brain to the back of the brain is visualized here, but it's also visualized here through the sun. That's the moon, through the sun and the moon. Pineal gland, sense of smell. That's your tongue. So cool. Wood snake. Enjoy the waiting game. I need to take a shower or a bath or something. What time is it? Is it like 3? Oh my God, it's after 3, it's 4. I need to take a shower. I'll come back and we'll do Lo Shu, which is even more fun, where I do, you can support and donate. Go up to the thing and click on the stuff, click on the tree of the links. Spend money if you have it. I do have a Substack, which is this, Zitterbard Escher Bach. I think I'm gonna start a Patreon so that I can really start doing some lectures and teaching. And then I don't have to sell workshops. It'll just be like $10 a month or something. You get full access. It'll also let me upload a library for you, where you can read a lot of these texts, and all of the papers that I've been using to do this research are all open access, and I can put those in a library as well. I think that needs to happen. But mostly I need to take a shower and make an appointment for my haircut, because this is getting painfully long. So we'll do Lo Shu divination and emotional alchemy later, and that'll be practical. This is impractical. I just wanted to know if I could even speak to epigenetics in this framework, since I started with epigenetics. So thank you so much, all of you, for being here today. I'll upload this onto my YouTube, and so it'll be there as well. Live long and prosper. Bye.